Chapter 62:46. Steve waved his hands and said calmly, "Your Ellis law firm is just another breed of watchdog for the Rothschild family. He is not qualified for me to save his phone number, let alone for me to call him directly." Jimmy was furious and said to Steve, "If you must pretend like this, then I will call my boss and let him talk to you directly." Steve smiled and said, "No need, I have never met him or spoken to him. And he can't recognize my voice." Jimmy was amused by Steve and nodded repeatedly. "You are really good, you can say anything. You don't have his phone number. It's because he is not qualified. You don't want to call him, it's also because he is not qualifications. I make the call for you, and you say he couldn't recognize your voice. So how do you solve this problem? You said you are a Rothschild. You have to come up with something to prove it, right? Otherwise, wouldn't we all become Rothschilds?" Steve stretched out his hand to interrupt him and said, "Well, I'll let the butler call your boss and let your boss talk to you directly." Jimmy seemed to have heard a huge joke and sneered. "Ha ha, butler? Ha ha, you are really good at pretending. Come on, I'll be waiting for my boss's call here today. I want to see how capable your butler is." "Oh no, how capable you are." Steve ignored him, picked up the phone, and called his butler directly. The call was quickly connected, and a respectful voice came from the other end. "Sir, what is the order?" Steve said indifferently. "Call the boss of Ellis Law Firm and tell him that he has an employee named Jimmy Smith who makes me very dissatisfied. If this employee is not properly dealt with, he and his law firm will no longer have any connection with the Rothschild family." The other party immediately said, "Please wait, I will call him now." Steve did not speak, but hung up the phone directly and said to Jimmy, "Remember, this is what you fought for yourself." Jimmy did not believe every word he said, but just sneered disdainfully. "I am a top 10 senior partner in Ellis and an absolute backbone. I have the opportunity to be promoted to the board of directors at the end of the year. You said you can get rid of me?" Steve nodded. "If Ellis's boss doesn't get rid of you, then I will get rid of him." Jimmy was about to continue to taunt, but his phone suddenly vibrated. He picked it up and was stunned, because the person who called him was not someone else, but his boss. He looked at his phone, then looked up at Steve, feeling a little flustered. He was not sure if this was a coincidence or if the other party really had this ability. Steve saw him standing there, looking up and down, with the phone still buzzing. So he smiled and reminded him, "Hurry up and answer the phone, your boss is worried."